Well, global cruise line Royal Caribbean building more ships in the next few years and managing to hedge their bets against rising oil prices. Richard Fain is the Royal Caribbean Cruises CEO and joins us now with more from Miami on the travel industry. Richard, thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Now, I know to the extent that you can, give me a sense of how much, first off, the Middle East unrest has affected your cruise line, because we know a few days ago Carnival said they took a $44 million hit. What can you tell us has happened to your cruise line?
Well, it's affecting all of us in the industry. Egypt is one of the most popular destinations in the Mediterranean, and it affects everybody. In fact, I was surprised to find that we're now carrying more guests to Egypt a year than we used to carry altogether when I first got involved with the company. But fortunately, there are other destinations in the area. The whole Eastern Mediterranean is a very popular site. Egypt is a wonderful destination, but there are others close by. So while people are concerned about Egypt, we're going elsewhere. But it does cost. There's no question about it.
And to the extent that you can, I know you've got your earnings coming out at the end of April. What can you tell us about what that cost is to Royal Caribbean?
Well, obviously, I can't quantify it because, as you say, we're about to be issuing our results in about a month. It does impact us because the demand is less when people are a little uncertain about where to buy. And we're seeing the same thing, in fact, in the Far East. We had a number of itineraries going, particularly from China to Japan. One of the interesting things is when you're a global company, it does help us diversify, so no one thing hurts us as much. But it does seem that something is always happening somewhere in the world, right, and so something hits us.
Well, Richard, can you say how many passengers, for instance, you've had to rebook, or how many passengers have canceled because of this?
I'm not allowed to quote the numbers, but I will say that in terms of the cruises that were specifically going to Egypt, there was a very quick drop-off as people were hesitant to go there, and of course the same thing in Japan. We are looking for other alternatives, and there are other excellent alternatives in both areas, but it takes a while for that to sort of work its way through the system.
Right.
And of course, we're hoping it resolves itself quickly.
Certainly, I imagine for everyone. Richard, talk to me about oil prices, because I know, talking about Carnival again, I mean, they don't hedge their fuel, but you do. How well hedged are you, and what do you anticipate for oil prices?
Well, we've always hedged as a precaution, and we don't try and predict oil prices. We've always said that we operate cruise ships and we should let someone else choose oil prices. So we've had a tradition of hedging about half of our oil purchases. We're now a little ahead of that. We're 58% hedged for this year and for next. And so we've tried to use that as a way to smooth out the sharp ups and downs. But it also affects things beyond just the direct cost of fuel, because the cost of fuel impacts food and transportation, logistics, right, and other things. So it's an unfortunate development.
Well, certainly, I mean, and we've seen oil prices skyrocket in just the last few weeks, Richard. So 58%, is that your max, though, or would you go higher than that if oil prices went up, let's say, another 10% or 5% to 10%?
Yeah, it's an interesting philosophical question, and we're not trying to outguess the market. So you asked me my opinion. We don't have an opinion on oil. We're looking to the experts. We just think that we ought to hedge so that it doesn't affect us too much in any one period.
Richard, we're going to leave it there.